WWE Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff has responded to Tony Khan after the AEW CEO took a shot at the former WCW president on social media after the announcement that one of Bischoff's podcasts was coming to an end. We'll let you know what he said. Becky Lynch gives her brutally honest assessment of Ronda Rousey's in-ring abilities after Rousey has been incredibly critical of her tenure in WWE. MJF reportedly met with AEW officials after AEW Big Business in Boston, Massachusetts. NXT Battleground, the location for that PLE, has been moved to a UFC facility. We'll let you know what that means. Hulk Hogan's role for WrestleMania 40 has been revealed, and the main event for NXT Stand and Deliver has been revealed. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about this back and forth between AEW President and CEO Tony Khan and the former WCW President and WWE Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff. Now, this started with an announcement from John Alba, Bischoff's co-host for one of his podcasts, the Strictly Business podcast, that the Strictly Business podcast was coming to an end. So yesterday, Alba went onto social media and made the announcement that this week's episode would be the last episode of the podcast before it finishes up. And in the early hours of the morning, after last night's AEW Dynamite, Tony Khan decided to respond to the announcement of Bischoff's podcast coming to an end by saying, quote, "Sunsetting this fraud of a business podcast before the next AEW media deal is a wise choice." Now, Eric Bischoff, who hosts the show, as I mentioned, alongside John Alba, has now responded to Khan's comments on social media with several tweets of his own. The first of which was this one right here. He said, quote, "A money mark with no talent other than spending daddy's money, going all the way to Canada to draw less than 4K in one of the hottest pro wrestling markets in North America. Talking about wise choices? Strap in, it's going to be a fun day." Now, the tweet was accompanied by a short video which can be seen capturing the fans in attendance at an AEW event with plenty of empty seats backing up Bischoff's point. Of course, AEW undertook a tour of Canada for the March 16 episode of Collision, the March 20 and 27 episode of Dynamite, and that week's Rampage, ending with the March 30 episode of Collision as well. Now, it didn't stop there, though, when it came to Bischoff's social media post. The next one, which can be seen right here, is Bischoff quote tweeting a tweet by WrestleTix, which is about the AEW Dynamite event last night that was in Quebec, Canada at the Centra Videotron. It spoke about how many tickets were being sold, how many tickets were distributed, the current setup as well. The current setup was for 3,550 fans. The tickets distributed was just under that, with, at the time of the post, 112 tickets being made available. But the pictures, as you can see, include several sections tarped off. Bischoff tweeted the following hashtag saying, quote, "Wise choices, hashtag AEW, hashtag money mark." Now, the next tweet Bischoff retweeted was this one here from someone called Rascal Thunder saying, quote, "It's 4 a.m. Where's my mother effing laptop, Tony Khan?" And then posting a picture of Khan seemingly as Scarface as well. He also then posted this saying, quote, "He's the Sam Bankman-Fried of professional wrestling, hashtag money mark." Now, this was in response to a tweet that said, quote, "Tony Khan's 4 a.m. meltdown on Twitter over Eric Bischoff podcast is exactly why people don't like AEW. Tony comes off as a spoiled rich kid and is incredibly unlikable." Now, as I mentioned, Bischoff referred to Tony Khan as the Sam Bankman-Fried of professional wrestling. If you're not familiar with that story, this is who Sam Bankman-Fried is. He was an American entrepreneur who was convicted of fraud and related crimes in November of last year. He founded the FTX cryptocurrency exchange, was celebrated as a bit of a poster boy for crypto at one point, and actually today, the FTX founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, was sentenced to 25 years in prison for fraud. So if you're not familiar with who that person is, that is who Eric Bischoff is referring to there. So what are your thoughts with Eric Bischoff's response to Tony Khan there? What's your thoughts on Tony Khan's post in the first place? Is it something that a president and CEO of a company should be doing in the early hours after one of their live television broadcasts? Do you think it just gives Bischoff more platforms and more attentions to speak out against AEW? Is Bischoff right? Is Tony Khan right? Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Now, Becky Lynch, she's been doing a lot of promotion for her book that is coming out soon, and she's actually evaluated the wrestling skills of one of her most famous WWE rivals. Now, WrestleMania 34 saw the in-ring debut of former UFC champion Ronda Rousey teaming with Kurt Angle to defeat Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Now, Rousey gained high praise for her debut performance and in the many matches that followed. Becoming Women's Champion at SummerSlam that year, Rousey was set for a showdown at Survivor Series against Becky Lynch, who was in the middle of her meteoric rise to the top of the card as the man. Now, due to a concussion sustained by Lynch in the hands of Nia Jax, Lynch missed out on the match but would still continue to trade insults with Rousey on social media to keep the rivalry alive. Triumphantly winning the 2019 Women's Royal Rumble match, Lynch wasted no time in choosing Rousey as her opponent for WrestleMania 35, which also saw Charlotte Flair added to make the match a winner-takes-all triple threat match. Victorious at WrestleMania 35, Lynch became Becky 2 bouts in what was Rousey's final match in nearly 2 years inside of a WWE ring. Now, Rousey later returned in the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble, and she would run through the field and win the match for the first time in her career. Although Rousey would find championship success once more, fans did not connect with the former UFC star the same way they did in her first run, and found many of her matches to be subpar compared to her standout performances in 2018. Now, clearly frustrated with her time in the company, Ronda Rousey has called out WWE, and some of the top employees and executives in her upcoming autobiography are Fight. On top of letting her true feelings be known about Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and Bruce Pritchard, among others, Ronda Rousey also details the multiple occasions where creative direction left her irate. Now, while appearing on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, Lynch was asked about Rousey's comments that have been made in both her book and also the media interviews to promote the autobiography. Now, giving a lengthy response, Lynch began by stating that the response was one she expected and added that she is aware that at times WWE conditions are less than ideal. Here's what Becky Lynch had to say.
If we do good, the company does good. So I don't think anybody is trying to make anybody fail. And I suppose that is my point. Nobody's like trying to make anybody fail. And I think when you love this, you look to try and make it better. How can I make this better? But she was coming from a different industry. She was a star, and she should have been handled differently in terms of, I think she had such a great first outing that everybody thought, oh, she can wrestle. And I mean this with respect, but she couldn't wrestle. Like, what we do isn't something that you can just have one good match and then, okay, yeah, no, I'm off to the races. It's a craft, and you have to learn your craft, and you have to be diligent about learning your craft. But everybody treated Ronda like she already knew it, because when she first came in, she was good in that first bout, but she was also working with Kurt Angle, she was working with Triple H, Stephanie McMahon. It was a well-rehearsed match, you know, because everybody wanted her to succeed. And then it was like, okay, she can do this off to the races. And that was mishandling her, because she was, you know, a star in her own right, and she had done so much for MMA, and so in terms of that and booking, that wasn't done well. But my experience coming from nobody thinking that I was going to be worth anything and making myself very valuable to the company and very valuable to wrestling in general, it's because I loved it, you know, because I loved it and I sought out to do it. And she came in and I think she found a place that she enjoyed, she liked, but she never like sought to do it from a young age. And I think that changes the experience that you have when you go into a place, if that makes sense.
It does. What do you think of what Becky Lynch has had to say there? Is she right with her assessment? Is she wrong with it? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments section below. Now let's talk about AEW, and let's talk about MJF. What's the latest when it comes to the former AEW World Champion? Well, MJF is still rehabbing multiple injuries, though he did reportedly meet with AEW officials after the Big Business special edition of Dynamite in Boston a few weeks ago. The future of MJF has seemingly always been the hot topic of discussion. The 28-year-old was AEW World Champion for over a year until the World's End pay-per-view last December, and rumours of his departure resurfaced when it was noticed by a portion of fans that his profile was removed from the company's online roster page. However, this doesn't seem to be anything to read into. Per PW Insider, it's clarified that MJF is still locked into a contract with AEW and is currently focused on making a recovery from his multiple concurring injuries. They said, quote, "For those who have asked about former AEW World Champion MJF, we are told he is still working to recover from his multiple injuries. While he is not listed on the AEW roster, the belief is he remains locked into a deal with the company." Now, the report notes that while not at the show itself, MJF was in Boston to meet with AEW officials the day after the big business edition of Dynamite. As of now, the reason behind the meeting wasn't specified, and the planned return date for MJF to appear on All Elite Wrestling TV is not yet known. So, of course, if we get any more details on that in the future, we'll let you know. Now, this is a fascinating story when it comes to NXT and an upcoming premium live event for WWE's third brand. Now, NXT is set to host its Stand and Deliver event on April 6 over WrestleMania 40 weekend, which serves as really the biggest NXT event of the year. Now, following Stand and Deliver, the next NXT premium live event is set to be the Battleground event on May 26 in Savannah, Georgia, though that is seemingly no longer when the event and where the event will take place. Per WrestleVotes, the NXT Battleground event is set to be moved from May 26 to June 9, with the location changing from Savannah, Georgia to the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. This is what WrestleVotes tweeted. You can see it on the screen right there, saying, quote, "Hearing rumblings of a significant schedule change, I'm told the NXT Battleground event will be moving off May 26 to June 9th, with the location shifting as well, as Savannah, Georgia will no longer host the show. NXT Battleground will take place live in Las Vegas at the UFC Apex." Now, AEW, of course, is set to run Las Vegas on the weekend of May 26, with Double or Nothing emanating from the city for the 5th time, but it's not going to clash with this. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is good? Do you think this is bad? Let me know your reaction to it as well. Now, Hulk Hogan, there were reports and rumors about WWE reaching out to the Hall of Famer for a role during WrestleMania 40 weekend, and now it's possibly been revealed. WWE has announced that Hulk Hogan will be at an upcoming event slated for WrestleMania 40 week ahead of this year's show of shows. It was previously reported that WWE had reached out to some major names ahead of the April 6 and 7 WrestleMania events. One of the names mentioned in the report was Hulk Hogan, with there reportedly being talk over the last week that the company is working on having Hogan involved in WrestleMania 40 week in some fashion. WWE has confirmed that Hogan will be in Philadelphia ahead of WrestleMania, with Hogan announced for the WWE World at WrestleMania Fan Experience event as well. Promoting a meet and greet, WWE shared a graphic featuring Hulk Hogan on Twitter, writing, quote, "Hulkamania is running wild at WWE World. Tickets to meet Hulk Hogan at WWE World are on sale now." Now, Hogan will have an autograph session at WWE World on April 7, the same day as WrestleMania 40 Sunday. He'll also be available for photo ops on this day. While he hasn't been announced for a WWE show during WrestleMania 40 week at the time of recording, the previous report also indicated that the company has made an overture to Stone Cold Steve Austin to be involved over WrestleMania 40 weekend as well. If we get any more details on what that could mean and what that could be, we'll let you know in a future video. And finally, the main event for NXT Stand and Deliver has been announced and revealed by WWE 2. WrestleMania may be the biggest event next weekend, but it won't be the only one WWE is running in Philadelphia. That's because NXT Stand and Deliver is also set for next Saturday, only hours before night one of WrestleMania takes place. And much like the showcase of the Immortals, Stand and Deliver will feature a main event with a lot of history behind it. On X late Thursday morning, WWE confirmed an earlier Sports Illustrated report by announcing that Stand and Deliver's main event will be none other than Carmelo Hayes battling Trick Williams in singles action. The match is one of 5 bouts announced for the event, joining Ilya Dragunov versus Tony D'Angelo, Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez, Obafemi versus Dijak, and Josh Briggs in a 3-way bout. And Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin defending the NXT Tag Team titles against the winner of an eliminator tournament as well. So that is the main event for Stand and Deliver. But there you go, guys. It's the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.